You guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Today, a transfer news special regarding our defense and especially the centre back position, because we know Mercato, the transfer market, has around about a week left till it's open, and Inter still have that one position that needs filling. Inzaghi's talked about it, the players have talked about it, Marotta, Ozil have talked about it. We need a centre back, and at the moment it looks like there's an audition going on for that centre back position. It looks like there's a few guys auditioning for this position, and we're going to take a look at four of those guys that are auditioning for that position. And of course, you guys let me know in the comments down below which one of those four guys you prefer. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. And before we get into it, make sure you're leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Let's go. So as I said at the beginning of the video, this position is the center back position, the central of the three in theory, because as Inzaghi's put it, what we're looking for is the vice De Vrij. So we're not looking for someone to take over from De Vrij or someone to take over from Skriniar or Bastoni. This is a guy to replace, in theory, Andrea Ranocchia, who went to Monza, who, by the way, got injured at Monza the other day. It seems like a semi-serious injury that will keep him out for 3 or 4 months. So good luck to Big Frog over there. But the guy replacing him, in theory, so it shouldn't be, we don't need a world-class defender when you think about it. But at the same time, as Inter fans, as Interisti, we're looking to the future as well. We're thinking that De Vrij is already declining. So shouldn't we get someone to be, in theory, ideally challenging De Vrij or taking over from De Vrij, whose contract is expiring in the next season, and we don't know whether they're renewing him, whether he's going to pick up his level again, whether he will deserve a renewal, whether he wants a renewal. So there is that doubt as well. So it's an interesting situation the way you look at it, but it seems the way that Inter are looking at it is just a gap filler for this season to cover De Vrij in case of an injury. And here are the four names. So the first one we're going to look at is the name that is hottest in the newspapers and sources and transfer rumors at the moment, which is Chelsea's young centre-back Trevor Chalobah, or Chalobah, whatever you want to say it. He is 23 years old. He's been loaned out, as many of those Chelsea youngsters are, from that Cobham Academy. By the way, Cobham is creme de la creme when it comes to young products or youth products in European football over the last 10 years or so. And Chalobah is one of these talents that they churned out. And last season, he was a starter for most of the season for Chelsea. He played 20 games in the Premier League, and 17 of those he was a starter. And as you can see from his heat map, 100%, you can see that he covered primarily the right centre back of the three in the back three, and with Tuchel playing a three at the back formation. That indicates that primarily he's a right centre back of a three. And as we said at the beginning of the video, what we're looking for is the middle of the three centre backs. However, the thing with Chalobah is, as you can see from his SOFA score, he's tall, 990 centimeters, so he's 6'1", 6'2" in height. But if you look what the position that he's played in the past, when he was loaned out to Lorient in Ligue 1 in the 2021 season, you can see his heat map. He primarily played, or he came through really as a defensive midfielder, and you can see that from his heat map here. Again, played a lot of games there, 24 games started. So that just tells you the type of profile he is. He's someone that is very comfortable on the ball. He's a ball playing centre back. When he plays centre back, as having started in midfield, a lot of Chelsea fans actually think his future will be as a midfielder, or is still undecided or exactly what his best position is. But the fact that he's played as a defensive midfielder means that he could adapt to that middle of the three position as well. As we know, especially in modern football, that sweeper position, a lot of times you are almost as the first regista, as you would say. But as I said, his heat map indicates that he's primarily a right centre back. So that means if he is brought in as a loan, that could mean, if De Vrij is injured or suspended, or if they're looking to rest De Vrij, that either means that, they're looking to move someone else in the middle, maybe, that means moving Skriniar to the middle, maybe. And you guys know, if you follow me on this channel, I think that is Skriniar's future position. I think it gives him, or it lets him play in a position that doesn't highlight his weaknesses as much, which is the lateral movements and he doesn't have to carry the ball as much in those positions, which is not his strength. So bringing in someone like Chalobah would allow Skriniar to do that and moving there, and I think that plays better into Chalobah's strengths, who is he's not the quickest, I know. And then the thing with Chalobah is everyone is going to he's a low-hanging fruit with Chalobah. It's the comparison to, you know, Tomori. He's the recent kind of success story coming from Cobham, coming from Chelsea, being loaned out, and then Milan take the option to buy with him. And, you know, he's one of, for me, definitely a top 3 centre-back in Serie A at the moment. I really, really rate Tomori since the beginning of when I saw him, when he debuted against Inter in the Coppa Italia. I was like, wow, what a player this guy is. And he's proven it, new contract recently, but it's a low-hanging fruit. I don't think Chalobah is as natural of a defender as Tomori. I don't think he's as good on 1v1. I don't think he's as comfortable just being a pure, straight-up defender in terms of the ruggedness and, you know, being able to read the game. He does stand out with his ball-carrying ability, his passing ability. He's even got a goal threat about him. You know, he's scored against Juventus in the Champions League, so that already, you know, endears him to Interisti hearts, having scored against Juventus when they thrashed them. Or was it like 3 or 4-0? That was at Stamford Bridge. And the most important thing about this deal is, are Chelsea willing to insert an option to buy with a Chalobah? Because otherwise, to me, bringing in a 23-year-old young centre-back, he's got experience, but he's not the most experienced, you know, centre-back out there. Is that the right profile? Because if we haven't got the long-term option to keep this guy, you know, what's the motivation for him, first of all, to, like, you know, try to convince Inter on a loan stint, and what's the motivation for Inzaghi for Inter to give this guy regular playing time if they're not going to be able to keep him? So that's, I think, Chalobah only makes sense if there's that opening from Chelsea to have an option to actually keep him, like, you know, Chelsea did with Tomori. There was already an option to buy, and then Milan managed to negotiate that down. So I think this one is the one. This is my preferred option only if there's an option to buy, and if the option to buy is actually realistic. You know, if there's Chelsea say, yeah, you got option to buy 40 million euros, we just know that's not going to happen. You know, has a realistic option to buy, and of course a realistic loan fee. At the moment they're talking about Chelsea won 2 to 3 million euros just for the loan fee, and then of course on top of that we'll have to pay the wages, and we know at the moment our financial capability is not great. But I'm sure as the transfer window gets closer and closer to the end, the player apparently is willing and wanting the move to Inter. We'll probably push for the move as well. We'll probably get that done in terms of a loan fee, getting that lowered down, as we saw with Lukaku. And at the moment, it looks like Chelsea is the hot, you know, link, or the, you know, they're the plug for us at the moment. They're the ones that are sorting us out, helping us out with the transfer dealings at the moment. So I'm sure that can be worked out. But yeah, so for me, I would put Chalobah number 1 choice for me if there's an option to buy for the long term, and because of his adaptability, ball playing ability, and adds that level of athleticism to this team at the back that we need. So option number 2, 27-year-old Manuel Akanji, Swiss international. This is an experienced profile. This is not like Chalobah. This is a guy who's been through it. He knows what he's doing. He's 27 years old. He's in his peak, 187 centimeters tall. So just, you know, a little bit shorter than Chalobah. Again, a guy who, you know, is athletic, good in the air, decent on the ball, has played a variety of positions. And when we look at his heat map, as you can see there, again, he's played primarily on the right. If he plays in the 3, he either plays in the middle of the 3 or on the right. So that already gives him an edge in terms of, you know, being able to slot into that central of the 3. But Dortmund also play 4 at the back a lot of the time, or his years at Dortmund, you know, he's been there for a while. They've kind of transitioned from 3 and 4 at the back quite a lot. So when it's 4 at the back, he plays the right centre back of the 4. And when it's the 3 at the back, he's either playing either the right or the centre. But we've also seen him play at the left for Switzerland. Sometimes he's even played on the left. So he's someone who's adaptable. He's very right-footed, but also can, you know, his left foot isn't useless. And he's out of favour at Dortmund at the moment. He is not in favor with his coach, or he's decided that he wants a new adventure, and that has been confirmed here from Sempre Inter. We've got the report. The sporting director at Dortmund, Sebastian Kehl, has said that Akanji is looking for a new adventure, and they're open to it. They're open to accommodating that. The problem is, as reported by Corriere dello Sport in Italy, Inter still hoping to sign Akanji as their final signing of the summer, although Dortmund continue to hold out for 15 million euros for the Swiss international, which is, financially, beyond what the Nerazzurri are capable of. As we know, this centre-back that we're trying to sign at the moment has to be either free or, a minimal loan fee. The thing with Akanji is, because his contract is expiring, he's got 1 year left, June 2023. It looks like Inter will probably just wait for it and, try to sign him as a free transfer for next season. Or the only way, if Dortmund really want to make some business out of this, is give him a contract extension, and then he's able to join Inter for as a loan for the season, and then we can insert an option to buy at the end of the season. But up to this point, the Bundesliga sides have been resistant to this idea and have continued to hold out for a permanent sale for a decent sized fee. But Inter are still waiting to see if the stance could change in the coming days. And that's the thing. As the transfer window gets close to the end, Akanji hasn't played any minutes up until now for Dortmund. He's out of the project. German clubs are run very well financially. They want to be keeping a guy on their books and paying for his wages if he's not going to be playing. So they're probably going to be forced into a decision regarding Akanji. Apparently, there has been some actual buying offers over the last couple of days. So Akanji is probably not the most likely to come in. But again, would be one of the guys higher up on my list because he's, his age, his profile coming into his peak, adding that, level of extra athleticism and different profile to our centre-back options. Can play in the centre, can play on the right, can play on the left, depending on the formula, an affordable cost. So again, this is another guy that I would be preferring to see if the Chalobah deal doesn't have an option to buy, and if Dortmund are willing to play ball. The next option, is the one that's triggering a lot of Interisti, and of course it is 34 years old Francesco Acerbi from Lazio. Now, Acerbi, I think one thing about Acerbi, I think has been exaggerated how bad his downfall or how bad his drop in form has been over the last year. The guy still starts for Italy national team in the Nations League. He started in the summer. Even at the Euros, we saw he started ahead of Bastoni. I mean, that's, of course, you could argue that he probably shouldn't, but the fact that he still has the trust of Mancini says that, this guy's not completely dusted. The thing with Acerbi is he's lost the trust of Lazio fans. He had a falling out with the Lazio Curva. They've been booing him for a lot of the season because of that. He wants to move away. So similar to Akanji, he's out of the project at Lazio. He doesn't want to play for Lazio. Lazio don't want him. He's got, for Lazio's wage structure, he's got quite a high wage, so they need to get rid of him. Problem is, he's 34 years old, as we know. He didn't have a good season last year. And he's also, when he's played, mostly he plays on the left-hand side. I'm not really sure if he's played I think he's played sometimes in the middle of the three with Inzaghi, but even with Inzaghi at the back three, he played on the left-hand side. So it doesn't really fit the profile that we're looking for at the moment. But that Inzaghi factor, the Serie A experience factor, the general experience factor, and the fact that, he's an Inzaghi guy gives him that edge over the others. And the fact that, according to reports, Inter have pretty much blocked him in terms of Pastorello. His agent was at Inter's headquarters yesterday, and as reported by Di Marzio, the meeting held with his agent, it was made clear to the 34-year-old he wants to join us on loan, and the move for him is feasible. Lazio have opened up to a loan with an option to buy, but Inter have not made a decision because they're still waiting to see if Chalobah is available, will become available, and he is more of a priority than Acerbi, which I like to hear. But I think he remains the favorite, I think, because we don't know whether Chelsea are open to the Chalobah or how open they are, what they want for him. And also Chelsea, we need the dominoes to fall in pieces. The dominoes need to fall in place because they're looking to sign Wesley Fofana from my ends over here in Leicester. So I think they would only let Chalobah leave if they sign Wesley Fofana from Leicester, and because that would mean that Chalobah's playing time would be cut down, and then he would have to really move. So there's some pieces that need to fall in terms of the Chalobah deal. So Acerbi is there, so he will be a loan with option to buy. The thing with Acerbi is Lazio don't want to pay his wages from July and August. Inter probably don't want to pay those, but those could end up being the loan fee, so to say, around 500k euros. But according to reports, Acerbi is even willing to bypass those, say sacrifice those 2 months of wages just to make the move to Inter possible. But as the reports are saying, and quite correctly, Inter going to wait probably until the last moment. His agent even said if this is going to happen, it's probably going to happen after the Inter-Lazio game, which is happening. That's funny, the fact that Inter-Lazio are going to play each other this weekend. So yeah, I think so. In that case, I agree that he's third in the ranking in terms of as an option. I don't think it's an end of the world. I've explained in the past. To me, Inter fans are a little bit exaggerating. I know it's that picture, it's that image ingrained in our heads. Him, making the mistake for the Milan goal that pretty much clinches Scudetto for them. I know that picture we can't get rid of that. It's infamous now. But when you look at it on a logical basis, he is going to be the Ranocchia replacement. To me, he's a upgrade on Ranocchia. If he's not going to play that many games, it doesn't really matter to me that he's 34 years old. Yes, he doesn't have that profile that I want, of a bit more pace, a bit more athleticism in the team, not even ball playing ability really. But he's an Inzaghi guy. And I know people like to throw out there, Inzaghi's getting his guys. It was Correa, he flopped, and they were giving him another guy. Correa wasn't the first option either. They tried to go for Duvan Zapata. They tried to go for Marcus Thuram. He got injured, and in the end, they had to, settle for Correa and obviously overpay a bit. But it's not like Inzaghi's pushing Inter to get Acerbi. It's just that, Acerbi's out there available. It kind of makes sense when you look at it on a logical level. Again, but it's not my ideal option. The final option is more of a wild card. He's been linked with Milan as well, AC Milan, but he's also been linked with Inter, and it is Japhet Tanganga from Spurs, another 23-year-old like Chalobah, young English defender, 186 centimeters tall, so one of the shorter ones, probably the shortest profile that we're looking at today. And he had an injury ravaged season last year where he was out with a knee injury for most of the season. But again, you can see from his heat map, primarily played, the right centre back of the three. He's even played, as a right back at times, or even as a right wing back at times. So he's a very adaptable profile, probably the least technically proficient profile out of all the ones that we've talked about. And yeah, when we go back to the Mourinho season, played primarily as a right back. When we go back to the 1920 season, you can see he's even played on the left hand side. So he's a very adaptable profile. Again, he would add a lot. He's probably the most aggressive profile out of the four that we're looking at. One of the most physical, definitely more raw. Definitely needs a lot more work doing in the training ground to kind of polish him up. And again, he would probably be definitely more suited to the right centre back position than the middle. And again, this is a profile I like, someone that I would like to see in Serie A. I think he would do very well. But at the same time, this one needs to be, again, there needs to be a future option on this guy. There's no point bringing him in just as a dry loan. Because it just doesn't make that much sense to me. But again, if he does end up coming in, not the end of the world. I would like to see again a profile like this in the team, but there's not been too much talk about Tanganga apart from rumors. But I think he's not had any playing time at Spurs this season. He's out of favor with Conte, so it could be an option in deadline day. I could see that happening if none of the other ones happen. And again, going back to that, just because, you know, these young centre-backs, English centre-backs coming from Premier League doesn't necessarily mean they're 100% guaranteed hits. We saw Axel Tuanzebe was loaned to Napoli last season. He played one Coppa Italia game. Vlahovic absolutely killed him, Fiorentina, and he didn't really, you know, it wasn't a success at all. Maitland-Niles came in from Premier League as well last season at Roma. You know, Mourinho, under Mourinho, and he couldn't get ahead of Rick Karsdorp in the right wing back position. So it's not a guaranteed hit that these young, you know, English centre or, you know, athletic profiles are hit in Serie A. But we've seen with Tomori, we've seen with Tammy Abraham, they can, you know, make a difference in the Serie A with their profile. But it's a low hanging fruit, as I said, not a guaranteed hit. But you guys, let me know in the comments down below what your preferred option is. Let me know in the comments down below. Chalobah, Akanji, Acerbi, Tanganga, and any other name that you might want to mention that hasn't been mentioned. Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, whoever we sign out of these, probably not Acerbi, but if it's, you know, one of our Chalobah, Akanji, will do more of a deep dive into what type of player they are. I'll try to invite either a Dortmund or a Chelsea fan on the channel to talk about those. And yeah, see you guys for the Inter Lazio match preview. As I said, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. As always, ciao ragazzi, forza Inter!